There's no right or wrong response to a diagnosis of a serious illness. We're all different and we all react in our own unique way.
I was having panic attacks over absolutely nothing.
I was extremely upset. I was angry. It was the why me factor.
It was just a complete shock to realise that I actually needed major surgery and that I couldn't go home and wait for it.
But if you want to know how other people felt who've been through the same thing as you, Healthtalkonline can help.
When this website, Healthtalkonline, came to my attention a year or two ago, I thought it was a great thing to support.
Falling ill is something about which we ought to know the details.
On this website, absolutely uniquely, you will hear other people talking about what happened to them.
It just rings true. There's a solidity and a truthfulness about it that you couldn't get in any other way.
I would have loved it to have been there for me a few years ago when I was first diagnosed.
Healthtalkonline is free, easy to use, completely independent and available 24/7. You'll find thousands of real stories here, all collected by expert researchers and told by ordinary people talking about how they've been affected by illness and other health issues. Dozens of conditions are already covered, and there are plans to cover many more in the future.
I came to this from my own personal experience because I had breast cancer 16 years ago. And one of the things I realised is that I wanted to know how other people had managed with breast cancer. And I didn't just want to hear the stories of the people who had ridden across France and battled with their cancer, but just the ordinary people. And from my own experience, for example, the consultants tend to put a very positive gloss on, for example, the way in which chemotherapy is going to affect you. They were saying, well, you just drop in, have your chemotherapy, and then probably could go to work in the afternoon. Well, that wasn't like that for me. And I think hearing other people say, actually, I found it quite difficult, or I found losing my hair very difficult, or actually, I felt really bloody awful, it actually made it much easier to know that there were other people out there who had something similar happening to them. And that's what this site is trying to do, really.
We quite quickly realised that this would be a fantastic resource to be on the internet. I mean, this was back in 1998, 1999, so it was quite early. And then a wonderful character called Muir Gray stuck his head around my door one day and said, what you need for your interviews is digital video.
I think we're seeing three forces now coming together. One is technology. Secondly is the fact we recognise that in the 19th century it was clean, clear water that transformed health. In the 21st century it's clean, clear knowledge. And thirdly, we are seeing a social revolution, that citizens, people who are patients, they are ahead of professionals. And these three forces, these are the forces of change of the 21st century.
My name's Alan Grafen, and I'm a professor of theoretical biology at Oxford University. Elizabeth was diagnosed with motor neurone disease on the 1st of October 2007. She had a very high-powered job at the university. She was Pro-Vice Chancellor for Education, and that was a very severe blow. Our conversations had been mainly about what job she was going to go for next, so Vice Chancellor or Head of College, and they became talks about what we were going to do in Elizabeth's rather impending retirement. At a certain point, Elizabeth lost the ability to speak, slowly lost it, and she would write on her whiteboard very pithily and elegantly, and that became the only way we had of communicating with each other. I found the whiteboard tape on Healthtalkonline, and it was a couple who had, one of them had motor neurone disease, the husband I think, and the wife was talking about the whiteboards that she had managed to get in the United States. They're not easy to come by in this country. We could have used pen and paper, but it was much easier and smoother to use the whiteboard. The pen was larger and easier to control. It was just a very small, pragmatic thing that made really a lot of difference. But no one else mentioned them. The doctors, the clinics didn't mention them, and the idea came from Healthtalkonline. Elizabeth was still communicating on the morning she died, writing instructions she generally wrote instructions about how she wanted things arranged, and it was the whiteboard is how I will remember all that period, really.
My name is Adam Barnett. Basically, I'm in charge of the website's production of the research material onto the websites, publishing, maintenance, looking after them, and liaising with different partners that we have that help us keep the websites up and available. We now cover more than 50 conditions. We have over 2,000 interviews and I think around 15,000 clips on the website. So there's plenty to look at, and we've covered a lot of material on there.
Our researchers are all social scientists from lots of different backgrounds: sociology, anthropology, oral history, health policy. And the methods they use are called qualitative research methods. And the interviews really start with just asking people to tell us all about it from when they first suspected a problem. And then these highly skilled, highly trained researchers sit as quietly as possible and nod and listen until the person's told their story. Now, the reason why we do it this way is because what we want is to collect people's real experiences of what they've been through in their own words, covering the kinds of issues and meanings which are important to them, rather than going in with a heavy research agenda where we're perhaps only interested in patient satisfaction or in quality of care.
We're not looking for just the most common experience. We're looking for example, hot flushes. With menopause, women talk about hot flushes, and you can sometimes get the impression from looking at some websites that everybody experiences that and it has a really terrible effect on your life. And it can do, but there are other experiences as well. And what we're trying to do is get that breadth of experience to put on our website.
I think it's one of the most exciting developments in the internet age. It really is an absolute cornerstone of what society should be all about. I think it is an absolutely unbelievable service provision opportunity for ordinary people who experience all sorts of health difficulties.
My mother died of pancreatic cancer 9 years ago. And one of the things that happened when she was diagnosed and being treated was that although the doctors were marvellous in explaining the disease and treatments, we did wish as a family that we knew a little bit more, especially firsthand from other people who'd suffered the disease or been close to the disease. And so when this website, Healthtalkonline, came to my attention a year or two ago, I thought it was a great thing to support.
It adds ultimately to the literature of something absolutely essential to all of us as human beings.
It has extremely reliable founders, so you know that whatever you're hearing is kosher. But that idea of people sharing their experience, I think, is really important.
The great thing about this site is it's validated. You know you can trust it. It's been gone through very carefully. It's factually correct. And there are no extremists in there that are telling information that really is not true.
When we're told we've got this or that disease, we want to know more about it. We want to find out whether we're going to survive, what it's going to feel like to be treated in various ways, and above all, we want to hear from people themselves rather than doctors. And Healthtalkonline does exactly that. The experiences of real patients, told at full length, not just a snatched little soundbite here and there, but a full story of someone's engagement with the disease and with the treatment and with other patients who've had it and with the doctors and surgeons who've dealt with them, is such a valuable thing.
I think we will have really changed the way in which doctors think and deliver services if the medical textbooks actually have a whole section on patient experiences, as well as the microbiology and the pathology and the treatments, because I think the experience is part of that whole way in which disease affects people.
there are a lot of charities, medical charities, to support. I think the great thing about this is it really is empowering to patients. It allows them to come better prepared for treatment, whether it's for cancer, whether it's for heart disease, whatever, in a way that no other site does and no other organisation does.
I think it's important to support this website because it's unique. There is nothing like it. And what we all need if we have these conditions is information. We need to understand what is happening to us, why it's happening to us, and that we're not alone.
There's so many more health and illness conditions that need to be covered so that people can go on this website and find out about any condition that they might have. So I would say please give as much as you can to help us make this a reality.
I feel really excited that I've left this legacy of patient experiences behind, because I feel it's really what being a good doctor is, what being a good communicator is, that people can learn from each other in a very positive way, but not be misled in the way that sometimes one can be by the media. It's been my life's work for the last 10 years, and I hope it will continue in the future.